Hey, and welcome. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. The Ben Shapiro Show is sponsored by ExpressVPN for peace of mind whenever you go online. Visit expressvpn.com/Ben. A horrifying day for the United States as 12 U.S. Marines are dead. That number is likely to increase over the course of the next 24 hours because many more are wounded. Overall, the terrorist attacks in Kabul today have resulted in at least 60 deaths and 140 wounded. Many of those people are, of course, American soldiers and service members. Joining us on the line to discuss, Brigadier General Blaine Holt, retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, who's a former C-17 combat commander and U.S. Deputy Military Representative to NATO. Brigadier General, thanks so much for joining the show. Appreciate it. Really rough day, obviously.
It is. Thanks for having me back, Ben.
So let's talk about what's going on the ground. Have you been in touch with anybody who's on the ground at the airport at this point?
I have been in touch with several who have been working the situation on the ground. It's absolute chaos, as you might imagine.
So can you give us the latest on what is the sort of breakdown? What is the security situation like over there? Are they expecting more terrorist attacks in the near future here?
Yeah, I think they have to. They've been certainly told to be aware that more are on the way. So far from the sources I have on the ground, we've got 3 suicide bombers. I know that 2 are being reported, but there were 3 that I know of. They hit a gate and a hotel where Americans were being collected. My understanding was there was quite a population between those 2 that are very tightly packed in together. And the carnage that's on the ground, including our fallen Marines and Navy colleague, it's incredible. At the same time, we have seen that some of the aircraft have been taking small arms fire out of the field as they have either dispersed or taken off out of Kabul. And the mission goes on. We have heard of some extractions by special operations forces, but obviously not anything robust. And there's still a very grave security situation there at Kabul. The commanders certainly have their hands full. What I can say is that our servicemen and women are performing well beyond expectations that anybody could have for them in this kind of environment.
It is a fundamental betrayal of men and women in the American military to put them in positions where they are likely to be in this sort of situation. We're speaking with Brigadier General retired Blaine Holt. So, General, when we talk about the situation on the ground at Kabul airport, maybe you can draw a picture a little bit for us of what the geography of Kabul airport is like. Because when we hear that, I think most Americans think of LAX or they think of Kennedy. They think of these vast panoramic airports with tons of runways and various entry points. What is Kabul airport actually like?
So Kabul is very small, and it's all packed in with a lot of wide-body aircraft. There is a ring road that goes around the field. It's got about 7 gates, but it's very, very difficult to defend because it's porous. We've got a lot of people on the ground there to do airfield defense, but you can easily see where those 7 entry points. You could pack in a crowd. Telling who's who and sorting out a terrorist from someone who's not a terrorist is a very difficult exercise. They did have warnings overnight that there was going to be something imminent coming to the field. They took those seriously, and we were all questioning, wow, we're not asking people to come to the airport. Well, this is the reason why that was.
Well, one of the things that we learned today from the head of CENTCOM, General Kenneth McKenzie, is that we have been using the Taliban to provide essentially security and screening at the airport, that we were using them to actually push, pat people down, make sure they were the new TSA, was the Taliban. And we have obviously an excellent history with the Taliban in having them fight terrorism. The last time we asked them to fight terrorism, they took down the World Trade Center, attacked the Pentagon, and brought down a plane in Pennsylvania, or at least provided cover to Al-Qaeda to do so, and then refused to turn Al-Qaeda over. So they have a great job. They've done a great job historically of preventing terrorism. We are now heavily reliant on the Taliban. The head of CENTCOM said today that he is honestly not sure as to whether the Taliban did this by accident or whether they just let the ISIS suicide bombers right on through, and yet we continue to rely on the Taliban to quote unquote provide security.
Yeah, no, this is going to get looked at for years after this is over. But one of the things that we have seen in the past 4 days, and this is not by any stretch of the imagination concurrence with how this has gone, it is that the Taliban have insisted that they are able to block points, checkpoints, and the situation with this evacuation that we found ourselves in, they have actually provided some security at the gates in their own best interest, not in the United States' best interest. That's a key difference here, because for the Taliban to take the country back, they don't want to see things like this happen on our exit, because then it doesn't go in the method that they wanted. The ISIS is their enemy as well, and it makes us wonder whether they've got control of anything. Would Taliban let somebody through? Who knows? But what I can say is you're absolutely right to question whether it's wise to have any kind of relationship with them, or put ourselves into a position to have a relationship with them on something as key as this, with so many people still left to be saved.
So speaking of that, obviously, this entire effort was designed in order to extract Americans from Kabul. At this point, we are hearing that there are over 1,000 American citizens who are left in Kabul. The number of citizens plus green card holders is way larger than that. And the number of Afghan citizens we've basically left for dead there is hundreds of thousands. I mean, there's just no question that tens of thousands of people are going to be slaughtered at the hands of the Taliban at this point. And not only that, we're now learning from Politico that our wise leaders decided that an excellent idea would be to actually hand a list of the people we wanted to evacuate over to the Taliban so they could facilitate the security. We handed them a list of all the people, the Afghans who were applying for special immigrant visas, the American citizens, the green card holders. So the Taliban now have a complete list of all the people we were attempting to evacuate. It boggles the mind.
Yeah, and we from the ground, we heard reports of the Taliban coming on to Kabul and basically redlining people off of flights that have SIV status, that had a clear ticket out. I'm working in particular with a family to try to facilitate this family that was 600 feet from their freedom with papers to get on an airplane to go to a European country. And the Taliban intervened, and now they're fleeing for their lives, trying to get to a land-based border. And these are 3 kids and a mom and a dad, and their big crime is supporting a Christian charity in the country that was doing humanitarian work. This is absolutely horrible. And then we talk about just Kabul. The one thing that I want to expand the conversation out is there's 33 provinces, and there's people all over the country. And we're getting reports on the ground of horrific events that the Taliban, which is trying to repackage itself into this, oh, we've changed. No, that's not what's happening in the 33 provinces. They are raping and killing women. They're hanging police officers who were trying to keep order. They're running around with loudspeakers calling for people that they're looking for. And what's going to happen after we are gone and the lights go out in Afghanistan and they can't see internet and we can't see them? What will happen then? And so this, I've said this is as bad as we could see 20 years of war ending up.
We're speaking with Brigadier General retired Blaine Holt. So, General, we've heard from members of the Pentagon that we are, in fact, going to pursue the people who pursued the terrorist attack today. What capacity do we actually have to do that, considering that we basically have no eyes and ears anywhere outside of Kabul International Airport at this point, and our military is essentially restricted to Kabul International Airport? So what capacity do we actually have to perform those sorts of operations right now?
Yep. So there's methodologies that I can't talk about, but I will tell you that it may not be today and it may not be tomorrow, but we have the ability to hold any target on the globe at risk 24/7, 365. If we have the will, we will not let this pass. And I would urge military leaders and civilian leaders to strongly pursue the course of action. If that's what they say they are going to do, then they should do that.
As Brigadier General retired Blaine Holt, really appreciate your time on this terrible day, and of course, please convey our best and all of our support to the people who are on the ground that you're talking to right now.
Absolutely will. And I will tell you that in our country, there are 17 million veterans, Ben. We are all watching this. Many of us served in Afghanistan. We are absolutely jaws open and despondent, and we wish that we were with our crews and our ground forces now. I can tell you on October 7th, on the 20th anniversary of OEF, we're calling for as many vets as possible to meet us all at the Lincoln Memorial to reaffirm our oath to the Constitution that has no expiration, and to basically reconnect with our nation and to pray for our fallen and our wounded.
Well, that is, again, Brigadier General retired Blaine Holt. Appreciate the time, sir. Alrighty, in just 1 second, we're going to bring you a reminder of the timeline here of mistakes by the Biden administration, like how this thing actually unfolded in real time, because you'll hear all the lies stacked on top of the lies first. Sleeping is not easy these days, considering the terrible situation in which we all find ourselves as Americans. But if you are going to attempt to bed down for the night, you at least need to sleep on a mattress that is made for you. I mean, everything in your life is personalized, so why wouldn't you take the Helix Sleep Quiz? Helix Sleep built a quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete. They use the answers to match your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. If you like a mattress that's really soft or firm, if you sleep on your side or your back or your stomach, if you sleep really hot, with Helix, there's a specific mattress for each and everybody's unique taste. Like me. Just go to helixsleep.com/Shapiro. They will match you to a mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. I sleep on a Helix mattress. You don't need to take my word for it. Helix was rated Best Mattress of 2019 by both GQ and Wired Magazine. Everything is made right here in America. They've got a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. If you try Helix and you don't like it, they'll pick it up right for you, no problem. Right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off your mattress order. Get up to $200 off at helixsleep.com/Shapiro. Again, your sleep quality depends on you having a mattress made just for you. Helix Sleep did that for me and the wife. And man, it is a great mattress. Go check them out right now. helixsleep.com/Shapiro for up to $200 off. Alrighty, so I just want to take you on a brief tour down memory lane so that you can recall what a disaster this administration has allowed to unfold. So here is the timeline. Okay, April 14th of this year, Joe Biden announced that we would be leaving. He said we would be leaving by September 11th. And he said that we definitely would not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. He said we would do it responsibly. I ask you whether that's true or not.
Will not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We'll do it responsibly, deliberately, and safely. And we will do it in full coordination with our allies and partners who now have more forces in Afghanistan than we do. And the Taliban should know that if they attack us as we draw down, we will defend ourselves and our partners with all the tools at our disposal.
Well, was any of that true? Was any of that true? Not a word of it was true. Not one iota of that was true. Because the President of the United States is a damned liar. He's a damned liar. We'll get to more of this in just 1 second. First, if you haven't refied your mortgage, like if you haven't looked at doing that recently, you really should. And the simple fact of the matter is that mortgage rates are at historic lows right now. Your biggest monthly bill is indeed your mortgage. It takes just a 10-minute call to American Financing, America's home for home loans, to get your mortgage taken a look at. Take advantage of a free loan review from a salary-based mortgage consultant, meaning no pressure, no obligation, no upfront or hidden fees. Just a simple conversation around which program can fit your budget better. Because rates are still near all-time lows, and there's a good chance you can benefit without adding years to your loan. That's correct. You can choose any term 10 years and over, so you're not wasting money on years you don't need. So what exactly are you waiting for? You can pre-qualify for free, and you may be able to postpone 2 payments when you call 866-721-3300. That's 866-721-3300, or visit AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Go check them out, 866-721-3300. You can get that monthly mortgage bill lowered. Why wouldn't you take the opportunity to refi? Go check out my friends at AmericanFinancing.net, or give them a call at 866-721-3300. Already coming up, the disaster continues to unfold in Afghanistan. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, we'll take you on a walk down memory lane with President Joe Biden. This is the Ben Shapiro Show. Welcome back. This is the Ben Shapiro Show. So, given the fact that we are currently experiencing more casualties in Afghanistan than we have in years, I think it is worthwhile at this point to point out what Joe Biden said was going to happen here. So first, on April 14th of this year, he said that we would not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We would do it reasonably and responsibly and in coordination with our allies. Every word of that was a lie. Then, on July 8th, you'll recall that Joe Biden said this was not in any way like Saigon. This would not be like Vietnam. He was right. It's not like Saigon. It is way worse than Saigon. And the number of American troops who died during the withdrawal from Saigon itself was 0. The number of American troops who have died now in Afghanistan is 12 as of right now. We also didn't leave a bunch of American citizens behind in Saigon. We are leaving over 1,000 American citizens behind in Kabul. We are leaving green card holders, thousands of them behind in Kabul. We're abandoning all of our allies the same way we did in Vietnam. Also, quick reminder, the Viet Cong didn't actually attack the United States homeland or provide harbor to people who did when we started the Vietnam War. We are now turning back the entire country of Afghanistan over to a bunch of 8th century barbarian goat herders, armed now with American weaponry. When we left Vietnam, by the way, I don't recall us leaving all of our weapons there. We have provided them with some $85 billion in American weaponry, apparently. They now have some 16,000 pairs of night vision goggles, which was our chief special ops advantage over them because we could see at night and they couldn't. We've left them a bunch of attack helicopters. We've left them drones, which they will promptly turn over to China for money. China will then reverse engineer all of that and now have our military technology. When Joe Biden said this wasn't going to be like Saigon, I think he meant it was not going to be as bad as Saigon. It turns out that it is significantly worse than Saigon in every conceivable way. In fact, as it turns out, the Biden plan on foreign policy was to conflate the withdrawal from Saigon, the Iran hostage crisis, except not with 52 Americans, with 1,000 Americans, the bombing of the U.S. Marine barracks in 1982 by Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Iran-Contra scandal in which we provided weaponry to some of America's enemies. So we conflated all of those in a ball, and that's Joe Biden's preferred foreign policy. Here was Joe Biden, July 8th, saying this would not be like Saigon.
Do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. 0. What you had entire brigades breaking through the gates of our embassy. 6, if I'm not mistaken. The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable.
Not comparable in the slightest, according to Joe Biden. Not at all. Okay, but let's fast forward a little bit. So you fast forward literally a month. So it wasn't going to be like Saigon. Now the Taliban has taken over the country completely. Right? And Joe Biden went on national television August 17th, and he said, you know what? The buck stops with me. It's actually August 16th. The buck stops with me. He says, we can't take more casualties. The reason we're leaving is because we can't take more casualties. Note, we had 0 American combat casualties from February 2020 until today. Today, we had 12. Minimum, thanks to Joe Biden. Here was Joe Biden just about a week ago, August 16th.
I am President of the United States of America, and the buck stops with me. I'm deeply saddened by the facts we now face. But I do not regret my decision to end America's warfighting in Afghanistan and maintain a laser focus on our counterterrorism missions there and other parts of the world. I cannot and will not ask our troops to fight on endlessly in another country's civil war, taking casualties, suffering life-shattering injuries, leaving families broken by grief and loss.
Families broken by grief and loss? Families, how many? Like 12, minimum today. Remember, 0 combat casualties from February 2020 to now, 12 today. Thank you, Joe Biden. But don't worry, he was championing his own incredible withdrawal a week and a half ago. He went on national television with George Stephanopoulos, and he said, listen, nobody has died in this evacuation. And then he proceeded to knock on wood. I kid you not. This was Joe Biden, August 18th.
Still a lot of pandemonium outside the airport.
Well, there is, but look, but no one's being killed right now. God forgive me if I'm wrong about that, but no one's being killed right now.
That was August 18th. It is now August 26th. That is an 8-day gap. No one is being killed right now. By the way, when he said no one was being killed, that was precisely 2 days after Afghans attempting to escape the country ahead of the Taliban were holding on to the wheel wells of C-17s and falling thousands of feet to their death. So he was lying then. Now, of course, he looks like the ridiculous buffoon because he is a ridiculous buffoon. We can look forward to hearing from this ridiculous buffoon in approximately half an hour here when he proceeds to put down his oatmeal, say a few words into camera, and then leave and allow Jen Psaki to clean up his mess. Jen Psaki is now the Biden administration's night nurse. The president craps the bed, and Jen Psaki attempts to clean it up. Unfortunately, the crapping of the bed is not just the president making a mess of himself. It's him making a mess of the entire country. It's him getting Americans killed. It's him. Many Americans are going to die, not just the ones who died today. We're going to see hundreds of Americans in deathly peril and tens of thousands of Afghan allies in deadly peril thanks to Joe Biden, thanks to this idiotic buffoon who promised you it would not end like this, who promised you that while simultaneously withdrawing America from Bagram Air Base, while simultaneously withdrawing all close air support for the Afghan military, while allowing the Taliban to take tens of billions of dollars of American military equipment, while withdrawing all American contractors who are servicing the Afghan warplanes. That guy was making you promises, and he violated every one of those promises. And now he's put American soldiers in harm's way, working at the behest of the Taliban. That is what this joke of a human being has done. He's been a joke for his entire career. Now he's just an adult joke. That is the only difference between Joe Biden of 10 years ago and Joe Biden now. Then he was just a joke. Now he's an adult joke. But make no mistake, what is happening right now is not a result of Joe Biden being mentally incompetent. It is a result of Joe Biden being plain incompetent. He made this call. He didn't make this call because he's senile. He made this call because he has been dead wrong on every major foreign policy issue in his entire career, going all the way back to Vietnam. And you in the media lied about it, and you in the media got him elected. But at least there are no mean tweets, just more dead Americans. Coming up, we'll get into more ridiculous things said by the Biden administration over the course of the last week. Don't forget what they told you just days ago. They were lying then, they're lying now. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Welcome back. This is the Ben Shapiro Show. So the cut and run strategy is beginning. Those explosions that I mentioned earlier, the latest explosions from Kabul, apparently they're controlled demolitions. We're now destroying the equipment that we have at Kabul International Airport. Matt Zeller, formerly of the CIA, CNN contributor, he says if that's the case, we are absolutely leaving, and soon. Which, of course, is no shock. The president treats the Taliban the same way that he treats the press. Every time something rough happens, he cuts and runs. But recall that 5 seconds ago, they were bragging about this. This is a masterful operation, according to Joe Biden and company. I mean, Joe Biden and company, they've been lying the entire way. They've been lying the entire way. You recall that just about a week ago, on August 18th, the president said, we wouldn't be leaving our Afghan allies behind. No way, no how. We were going to be taking those people with us. We weren't going to leave them there to the predations of the Taliban. Certainly, we probably wouldn't, give the Taliban a full list of everyone we wanted to get out so they could go kill them. Probably wouldn't do. This is August 18th with George Stephanopoulos.
All troops are supposed to be out by August 31st. Even if Americans and our Afghan allies are still trying to get out, they're going to leave?
We're going to do everything in our power to get all Americans out and our allies out.
They're all going to get out. Also, 2 days later, he said, don't worry, we're not leaving Americans behind. No way, no how. We're not going to leave Americans behind, guys.
Let me be clear. Any American who wants to come home, we will get you home.
Nope. Not true. That is a lie. It was a lie at the time. It is a lie now. So he said we wouldn't leave our Afghan allies behind. He doesn't talk about them anymore. They're screwed. He says we are not going to leave Americans behind. That's not true anymore. That they're screwed as well, the people who are left there. They're likely simply to become bargaining chips. Basically, whoever ISIS catches, they will take hostage and then murder. Whoever Al-Qaeda catches, they will take hostage and then murder. Whoever the Taliban catches, they will probably take hostage and then attempt to seek a bribe from the United States. That's likely the way that this goes. That same day, August 20th, Joe Biden said, don't worry, Al-Qaeda is not in Afghanistan. And how many lies? I mean, remember that time that they used to fact check Trump like every 5 seconds? You have Daniel Dale. It was a font head of lies. And then he would just spew out all the things that Trump had said that were misconstrued or wrong or false. And it was a fire hose of lies. And Daniel Dale made his, where's Daniel Dale when you need him? He's probably baking a cake in the back or something. Here's Joe Biden explaining that Al-Qaeda is not in Afghanistan as of August 20th. You will notice that the Haqqani network, which is an Al-Qaeda offshoot, is now providing all of the security in Kabul. Security, by the way, so great that they allowed 2 suicide bombers to walk into the middle of American areas and blow themselves up. Here was the President of the United States just over a week ago.
Let's put this thing in perspective here. What interest do we have in Afghanistan at this point with Al-Qaeda gone? We went to Afghanistan for the express purpose of getting rid of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, as well as getting Osama bin Laden. And we did. We? I've noticed some terrorists in Afghanistan. I don't know if you noticed them killing Americans today, but I've noticed some members of Al-Qaeda and lots of members of ISIS-K, again, which is Also, that same day, Joe Biden said, this is 6 days ago, that any attack on our forces would be met with a swift and forceful response. Well, it's been how many hours since these bombings? 7, 8 hours since these bombings. Have you noticed a swift and forceful response from the President of the United States? I haven't. Here he was August 20th.
We made clear to the Taliban that any attack on our forces or disruption of our operations at the airport will be met with swift and forceful response.
A swift and forceful response. Now notice, he did try to contain that to the Taliban. So he said, well, if the Taliban does it, then there will be a swift and forceful response. But, you know, if it's somebody else, can you really put that on the Taliban? That's not fair. I mean, guys, that's not fair. Yeah, but it didn't end there. The lies didn't end there. Fast forward 2 days. Joe Biden was asked at a press conference about ISIS and about ISIS's presence in Afghanistan. And Joe Biden's response was to dodder away, to just toddle away. Got to get down to the commissary where they are serving cream of wheat this evening. This is August 22nd, just 4 days ago.
Thanks.
Mr. President, what about ISIS and the threat that Americans face now?
Well, bye. Catch you later. Apparently nothing to see here. I mean, after all, why would we worry about ISIS? But the good news was that the following day, Joe Biden said in front of the American public that the airport was getting safer. We have increased our rational access to Kabul. We have expanded our safe zone around the airport. Again, this is August 22nd. Today is August 26th. So this was 4 days ago.
We have constantly, how can I say it, increased rational access to the airport where more folk can get there more safely. It's still a dangerous operation, but I don't want to go into the detail of how we're doing that. I think you're going to see they're going to get out. Number two, we have made a number of changes, including extending the access around the airport and the safe zone.
So everything is great. He was saying that 4 days ago. We expanded the safe zone, guys. Now, in reality, we didn't really expand the safe zone. All we did was just hand over security to the Taliban, who, again, have done a stellar job with security, a shockingly good job with security. Now, of course, it gets even worse, and we'll get to more of the Biden administration's lies about this in just 1 second. First, let's talk for a second about the fact that your energy could be lagging. I know it's a really, really depressing time. It's depressing for me. It's depressing for everybody. And as you get older, you tend to feel a little bit less energetic than you used to anyway. It can be overwhelming to perform at your best as you age. You got career, family, staying in shape. Life can get stressful. You start to slow down. Maybe you're not present when you want to be. To perform at your best physically and mentally, you can't let age beat you. This is where M-Drive can help. M-Drive is the daily supplement for driven men who don't want to slow down, who refuse to be tired every day, who want to be the best at what they do. It's packed with clinically tested ingredients that support healthy testosterone levels while helping you lose weight and stay lean. Added vitamins and nutrients reduce stress and boost your drive so you can perform at your best. Find it at Walgreens and other retailers, or visit mdrive4men.com. Get 20% off your first order with promo code BEN. They have free shipping and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. M-Drive, it's not for everyone, it's for the driven. mdrive4men.com, promo code BEN. Again, that is the letter M, drive4men.com, promo code BEN. mdrive4men.com, promo code BEN. Go check them out right now. Free shipping, 60-day money-back guarantee. So give it a try. All right, so didn't just stop there. Then the Biden administration, by a couple of days ago, they were declaring that everything was hunky-dory. Everything. This was a stellar mission. So just a few days ago, Jen Psaki was confronted by Peter Doocy, who said, I've noticed that many Americans are stranded in Kabul. And Jen Psaki said, no, how dare you? No Americans are stranded in Kabul. To which the thousands of Americans stranded in Kabul said, what? Here was Jen Psaki again. It is now August 26th. I keep mentioning the date because I think it's important for you to know how recently they were lying to you. This was 3 days ago.
Does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to get them home if they want to return home.
There are no Americans stranded is the White House's official position on what's happening in Afghanistan right now.
I'm just calling you out for saying that we are stranding Americans in Afghanistan when we have been very clear that we are not leaving Americans who want to return home.
Okay, so they're doing that. You may have noticed that they are stranding Americans in Afghanistan, right? They're just going to leave them there. Okay, and you notice that they're also playing this little semantic game where they say, well, they probably want to stay there, right? This is something that you had the ambassador to Afghanistan say. He said, we've been warning them for months they should get out. Oh, were you? Because I recognize that as of 1 month ago, you were saying that clearly the country was not going to fall to the Taliban. So there's that. But now the idea is that if you're in Afghanistan, it's your fault, gang. It is your own fault. Okay, August 24th, again, 2 days ago, 2 days ago, Jen Psaki from the White House press room announced that this had actually been a massive, unprecedented success because we'd evacuated so many people. Just as it was a massive, unprecedented success when the captain of the Titanic steered the boat directly into an iceberg, except this time it was the Biden administration overtly and purposefully steering the boat into an iceberg. And then, as the boat began to sink, getting some people onto the lifeboats and then declaring they'd done a wonderful job. They'd set a new world's record in number of people that had been moved from a giant ship onto a lifeboat. Sure, there were a bunch of people over here drowning, and sure, it was their fault that the ship had hit the iceberg in the first place, but can't you recognize when something is going right? Here is Jen Psaki explaining this was all a massive success.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
It's nothing but a success. Nothing but a success. It's a massive, unprecedented success. By the way, the DNC actually put out a full-on press release yesterday suggesting this. It said, quote, President Biden defies expectations. Again, delivers results in Afghanistan. President Biden has defied expectations and exceeded even his own administration's goal in successfully ramping up evacuations from Afghanistan. Not only has President Biden evacuated nearly 60,000 people from Kabul with no American casualties, This was 2 days ago. But he has taken the steps necessary to finally end a 20-year-long war. And he did it, man. He did it. Senator Chris Murphy, in fact, it didn't take 2 weeks to evacuate 50,000. It took 10 days. Unbelievable. Oh, the genius, the unprecedented genius of Joe Biden. Okay, well, literally yesterday, Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, he said, here's the thing. The people we can truly rely on, and the people we're going to rely on, are the Taliban. They're going to be working with us. There are new besties. There are new besties with testes. We're going to be hanging with them. And they say that, sure, we're going to leave August 31st, and sure, there are going to be Americans that get left behind, but the Taliban will help us past August 31st. This was yesterday.
We're on track to complete our mission by August 31st, provided the Taliban continue to cooperate and there are no disruptions to this effort. The president has also asked for contingency plans in case he determines that we must remain in the country past that date. But let me be crystal clear about this. There is no deadline on our work to help any remaining American citizens who decide they want to leave to do so, along with the many Afghans who have stood by us over these many years and want to leave and have been unable to do so. That effort will continue every day.
Every day for the rest of their lives. Because they're going to be stuck there for quite a while, or they're going to be dead. So those are the two choices. Anthony Blinken saying, isn't it just wonderful how much we can rely on the Taliban? And then today the Taliban let through a couple of suicide bombers, and we now have 12 dead Marines. So really, really well done. So do you believe them now? Are you going to believe Joe Biden, whatever he tells you in the next 15 minutes or so when he is supposed to speak? Are you going to be waiting with bated breath to see what lies he tells you? And then the media parrot those lies? Because we have yet to hear a true thing come from this administration for the past 6 months on this topic, or presumably many others. We'll continue in just 1 second, talking to Jason Kilmeyer, former Chief of Staff of Global Defense, Security, and Justice at Deloitte. First, let us talk about the fact that you need to keep your home safe. I rely on Ring Security. With my Ring Alarm security system, I'm much more at ease when I'm on the road or away from home. My Ring Alarm equals peace of mind. Protect your home with Ring Alarm. Ring Alarm is a powerful, affordable, whole home security system you can easily install yourself. It works seamlessly with other Ring products in one simple app. For a special offer, go to ring.com/Ben. It is the perfect way to start your Ring experience. Keep an eye on every corner of your house with indoor and outdoor cams. See what's happening directly from your phone. I didn't realize how easy the Ring Alarm was to install. I was able to install it myself. When we moved from California to Florida, first thing my wife said, get the Ring devices, put them on the house. We did. We feel a lot safer. I can check in anytime from anywhere and find out exactly what my kiddos are doing. Protect your home anytime from anywhere with Ring Alarm as well. Go to ring.com/Ben for a special offer on a Ring Alarm security kit today. You can build a system that's right for your home, have it up and running in just minutes. That's ring.com/Ben, ring.com/Ben. Go check them out once more, ring.com/Ben for a special offer on that Ring Alarm security kit today. Already coming up, we'll be joined by Jason Kilmeyer. He has a recent piece over at Daily Wire on all of the dangers that we now face thanks to Joe Biden's failures in Afghanistan. This is the Ben Shapiro Show. Welcome back. This is the Ben Shapiro Show on a horrific day in America, the worst foreign policy day I can remember in my lifetime. Joining us on the line to discuss is Jason Kilmeyer, former Chief of Staff of Global Defense, Security, and Justice at Deloitte Consulting, LLP. Jason, thanks so much for joining the show. Appreciate it.
Ben, thanks for having me.
So as you watch this unfold, first of all, your general thoughts on the level of botchery this is. Historically speaking, I can't think of a comparison in my lifetime. It's astonishing.
Yeah, Ben, I saw that you tweeted about that today, right, too? And so each of these historical analogies are just, as this unfolds, they're paling in comparison. And I'm going to venture another one here that I think will put this in some perspective, too. And it's not Saigon, it's not Beirut, it's Kabul, 1996. 25 years ago next month, the Taliban rolled into the capital city of Afghanistan for the first time. And like then, we mischaracterized and misunderstood the group. Like then, we underestimated the ripple effects for the world. Like then, a Secretary of State, quite frankly, made statements unmoored from the reality we're seeing on our televisions. And like then, a Democratic president assured us that they could keep us safe by taking pot shots from the air. And I think they have zero credibility.
Yeah, Jason, when you look at this unfolding, and it seems like every hour brings another bad headline. So we've seen, obviously, the devastating murder of 12 American Marines. Presumably, many more are possible deaths because we have a bunch of people in critical condition as well. We're now hearing the headline that the American military is detonating a bunch of our equipment at Kabul International Airport in preparation for leaving. We've also heard from the head of CENTCOM, who has said that the Taliban are providing us security. We have no clue whether they simply let in the suicide bombers, but we are doing that. And not only that, I think what is the secondary crazy story of the day, apparently we handed the Taliban a full list of everybody we wanted to get out, which is a kill list. I mean, that's everyone that the Taliban would like to kill.
Yeah, and Ben, each of those things in a different perspective would seem unbelievable to us. And what I'll argue is they are rational when you accept, as the Biden administration has, that we are going to not only sacrifice all credibility, but expose ourselves, give up all of our leverage, and trust our security to a hostile foreign government. From that perspective, entirely rational. And I think there's a missing element here, which is we are still thinking about this as a transition, as a crisis. No, there is one fewer U.S. ally, and there is one new adversary. That is a Taliban government either unable or unwilling to restrain terrorism. We've seen this movie before.
And that's, I think, what is so amazing about all of this is we are currently having an administration openly tell us that the Taliban is going to protect us from terrorism. Within a week of saying that, we have massive bombings at the Kabul International Airport, killing a large number of Americans, the most Americans killed in Afghanistan in one incident since 2011. And it's not as though we hadn't seen that movie before. We did see that movie before when we said the Taliban should get control of terror, and they proceeded to allow Osama bin Laden to reside in their country and create a safe haven for the attacks on the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania and the USS Cole, and then finally September 11th. So why do we think that the script is going to be any different this time other than just pure delusion?
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of wishful thinking. When we hear statements, and not just from American, but some other Western leaders about how we'll be able to induce the Taliban towards certain behavior or that their legitimacy as a government is on the line, those are people speaking as if we didn't just lose in a stunning fashion. And those are people who don't realize, and think about this is going to sound like a weird phrase. We have now 4 decades. We're in our 4th decade of the Taliban as a political movement. We have decades of evidence of who they are and how they'll behave. And the approach that this administration is promising as it relates to an over-the-horizon capability, wholly insufficient to the threat.
So let's talk for a second about the long-term ramifications of all of this. If you're a terrorist out there, the U.S. looks exactly like it looked in 1999. It just looks like a paper tiger, as Osama bin Laden once suggested. It looks as though we are willing to throw our allies directly under the bus, to put them directly in the line of fire, that we are willing to put our own soldiers in the line of fire in an attempt to surrender, unbelievably enough. And it looks as though anybody who trusts us is likely to get screwed. I saw an article in the New York Times today saying the Israelis haven't been sharing intelligence with the Biden administration. All I could think is, why in the world would they, given what they've just seen in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I think, right. So there's the immediate point, which is we talk about needing to leave Afghanistan to free us up to engage in these great power politics. It's this imagined cleaner sort of great East Asia, move these many carriers here and get back to that type of statecraft. The reality is our lack of resolve here will make that harder. But even beyond that, it isn't those powers in Asia who changed the skyline of New York City. Militant Islam gets a vote, and it has in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and conflicts around the world. And I'm afraid we're going to have to relearn that lesson.
Well, I really appreciate the time with Jason Kilmeyer, former Chief of Staff of Global Defense, Security, and Justice at Deloitte Consulting, LLP. Appreciate the time, Jason.
Thanks, Ben.
All righty. Meanwhile, again, the update is that we have at least 12 troops killed, 15 wounded. Overall, 140 people have been wounded, 60 dead overall. We still don't have a count on how many of those people were American citizens or green card holders. It is a full-scale disaster over at Kabul airport, and it is unclear what the plan is. So in approximately 5 minutes here, we're going to hear from the President of the United States, who's going to inform us. I mean, we've been told all of this was according to plan, right? We were told that it was according to plan. The plan, we had contingency plans upon contingency plans, according to this administration. It was all according to the plan, and nothing went wrong. It was one of the best operations in American history, an operation that completely relied on the Taliban for security, abandoned Bagram Air Base, completely destroyed the Afghan military from within, handed over 38 million people to the tender mercies of the Taliban, gave the Taliban a list of all the people they should kill because they were allied with us. It's gone great. It's gone great. And I can't wait. I, for one, cannot wait to hear from the addled President of the United States about how it's going to get even better from here. Now, here's my prediction for what the President says, and we will evaluate how well I did tomorrow on this show. I predict that the President of the United States is going to say, oh, yeah, we'll go after the people who did this. But it wasn't the Taliban. It was ISIS. So we'll take our time, we'll find those people, and we'll go after them the way we did Osama bin Laden, which he opposed. Then he'll say, this just shows why we need to get out, and we need to get out fast, because otherwise our troops are at risk. Every failure is more of an excuse for his own failure. You watch. And the straw man will be that if we didn't get out, if we hadn't gotten out the way that he got out, then this would have been the ultimate result, except much, much larger. That will be his bloody-minded, idiotic excuse. We'll see how many Americans are willing to buy that, given the fact that we're about to leave thousands of Americans stranded in Kabul, plus hundreds of thousands of people who allied with us against the Taliban in the first place. This is The Ben Shapiro Show.